everyone, and welcome back to the Parent in Focus podcast. I'm joined here this afternoon with Ciara Knox, who's a regional speech therapist coordinator for Surestart. So Ciara works across all of Northern Ireland, coordinating the speech therapists within the Surestart, the 39 Surestarts that we have, and they have about 40 speech and language therapists. So we're going to have a wee discussion today about what speech and language therapy is, how dads can get involved in the process, and why it's important that dads do get involved. So thanks so much for joining me, Ciara. Could I ask you first of all, what is speech and language therapy and why might a child need it?
Hi, Emma. So speech and language therapy, it's sometimes called speech, language and communication. So you'll sometimes see it abbreviated as SLT or SLC. So the speech part of it normally means the sounds that comes out of the child's mouth. So all the little letters and the sounds that they're making. And then the language refers to the words and the sentences and the phrases and what that all looks like. And then they often talk about the communication side of it. So that's how is your child interacting with adults, or how are they interacting with children, and how are they using their speech and their language to communicate. So that's usually what this. So if you go for speech language therapy sessions, it can help with any elements of those. And why a child might require it varies really depending just on the child's needs. So children might attend speech and language therapy for they're mixing up their sounds. So they might be saying gog instead of dog. They might be reluctant to talk, so they might not have an awful lot of words. They might have a stammer. They might not use long sentences. They might only use single words. So maybe speech and language therapy might help bring that on a bit. Or maybe it's the communication side of it, where they maybe don't like to communicate with others. They don't really like to play with other children, and speech language and therapy can support with that.
Well, that sounds great. So ahead of this podcast, I had the opportunity to talk to a dad, and his son had his own way of communicating with the family.
Yes.
So it wasn't our traditional way of speech, but they had developed their own way of communicating as a family. So is that something that you would commonly see?
Yes, and we kind of embrace that unique side of communicating as well. It can be very unique to the child, it can be very unique to the family, it can be very unique to regions and localities as well. Speech, language and therapy and communication supports if you don't use words to talk. So if you use sign language, if you maybe use pictures to communicate, and even if someone is not talking or a child is not talking, they can still access speech, language and communication therapy and to bring that along. And they might end up using words and they might not. So using that traditional communication or maybe something different. So yes, absolutely.
So something just really individual to each child you're seeing.
Yeah.
So what does the process look like within Surestart if a child is struggling with their communication, or if their family feels that they could use some additional help?
Yeah, so it's worth of noting that Surestart reaches, it's got 39 locations across Northern Ireland. So it's worth checking if you fall within a Surestart area. And you can do that by looking it up online, seeing what your local Surestart area might be, or your local Surestart centre, and giving them a call just to see if you fall within that area. If you do have access to a health visitor, they sometimes might already know, so they can just point you in the right direction, because they'll be quite familiar with what postcodes fall in within Surestart or not. But you can contact the Surestart Centre and they will organise an initial meeting with you to discuss any concerns. They might invite you into the Surestart, and they've got lots of different programmes and things that you can access. So it might be antenatal classes, breastfeeding classes, parent and toddler groups, maybe some parent training, and there's lots that you can choose from that suits your need. So that's how you initially get in, and then it's very much up to yourself what you want to access from there.
And Ciara, I think I'm right in saying that Surestart works specifically with dads as well.
Absolutely.
So they have specific dads programs to ensure that dad is fully involved in that social side of their child's life as well. Is there any way that the dad can work directly with the speech and language therapist within Surestart?
Absolutely. So we try and target all our material at both parents or, grandparents and kind of all carers. Um, but yes, we do. We found that sometimes dads engage a bit better when it's just dads, and that's obviously unique to some people, and some people don't mind what groups they attend. So across the Surestarts, they've got lots of different groups for dads specifically, and that might be things like a Saturday morning group. There's like a dad's breakfast club. There's a Go Me and Dad group where they do lots of outdoor activities. There's toddler tumble and talk sessions, which is a lot of kind of movement and play that are kind of tailored to what dads have said that they enjoy doing as well. So as I said, there is dad specific groups, and some have dad specific workers as well, who can work with dads and fathers. But again, their dads are welcome to join any groups at all, and that includes, the antenatal groups as well, where before baby's even born, dads are encouraged to come along to those and to join in as well.
So it has been well documented and well researched, and the impact that having a father's presence in a child's life can have, and leading to better educational outcomes, lower teen pregnancy rates, and less involvement with youth justice. So in regards to speech and language therapy, why is it important for dads to get involved?
Yeah, so like dads are a really key person in a child's life, and um, a lot of foundations for speech, language, and communication are based on that security and that proximity of the people who are closest to you. So it's not a speech therapist who's the best person to bring on your child's language. It's the people that are most important to the child. So that's usually mum and dad, as I said, grandparents, siblings, aunts and uncles and things. And dads, the research has shown that dads bring a really unique kind of set of skills as well. And it's just that idea that, mum or will bring their interpretation of play and language, and dads bring a completely different set of words and language. Um, and again, even if it's reading books, dads will tell stories differently because of how they interpret them. They'll use different language that potentially mums wouldn't use. So it is really important that dads get involved to give the child that really robust language and learning experience, and they'll bring a different set of play as well. So they might play differently than the way mum played, and that's really important because it teaches the child lots of different skills, lots of different communication opportunities, and lots of different language. And again, there has been research shown about the importance of bonding with the baby bump, and they actually find that babies hear from about 16 weeks, and they hear dad's voices easier because they're lower and they're deeper as well. So I want dads to know that they have a very unique and equally important role to support children's speech, language, and communication development.
Absolutely, that's really interesting as well, that babies can actually hear dad's voice easier. So really, dads from the very beginning should be heavily involved in talking to their child and developing that too. Um, so the dad I was speaking to, he was really keen to be involved in kind of all aspects and to really help bring his child on, and really understood the importance. But sometimes it's not as easy to do that. Dads understand and they value that, but actually the practical side is how can we do that? So
Yes.
do you have any kind of practical tips about how dads can get more involved?
Yeah, well, I think, I don't want dads to think that you have to go to the speech language therapy appointments in order to make the impact. I know that typically a mum takes them, or a grandparent takes a child to an appointment simply because of work schedules and things. And obviously that's not exclusive to just mums, but in my experience, it is typically mums that come to those meetings. And again, I think it's usually just maternity leaves and work schedules. But speech language communication development happens more outside of the clinic and outside of those sessions, and it happens every day. So when you're shopping, when you're in the car, when you're playing, when you're reading stories, that's when speech language and communication development can happen the most. And it's all about getting down to your child's level and playing with your child and kind of following their lead. So if they want to play with, we always use this example, you might buy them the shiny toy, but they love the box. And it's like, just play with the box and, hide in the box and roll over the box and put things in the box and take things out of the box. And that's really important. And even if your child's not talking, you can talk to them and give them lots of examples. And, if they're babbling, you copy their babble. If they're pointing, you follow their lead and comment on what they're pointing to. If they're using one word, you add on another word. So if they're saying digging, you can say, yeah, digging in the grass, or digging down deep, or digging for food. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. Reading stories is a really lovely way to get involved. And I know for some people, reading isn't a strength. You don't have to follow the words. Sometimes if you make up a story, the child likes that story better and they'd probably like it more. So just make it up and make it fun. The sillier you are, the more your child gets engaged, and they love to spend time with you. And then use those opportunities just to, use lots of language, use lots of play, and build up their vocabulary.
Mhm. So do things like a bedtime story, do they really have a
Yeah.
huge impact then? I suppose it's quite a nice time for a dad to bond. And as you said, a lot of times dads are restricted with work and things. They maybe don't
Yeah.
have the same opportunity with mum. But would that kind of thing be a good opportunity to build in these kind of speech and language skills that you're talking about, and a really nice bonding time as well with dads?
Yes, absolutely. And what I would try and tell parents is don't try and make speech language an add-on. Look at your routine and see where it fits in. So like my brother-in-law, he works all day. So his time with his daughter is when he comes home before dinner, and that's when he's carved out. That's when we're just gonna play. That's when we're gonna, she's gonna come outside with me and help me tidy up. And or it could be bath time. You say that's my time when I'm gonna hang out with and do that speech language communication, or as you said, even the bedtime routine, or Saturday morning or Sunday morning could be your time. So it's not about adding it into and thinking of it as a stressor, just thinking, look at your daily routine and when can you spend that quality time with your child.
No, that sounds great. And I suppose what you were saying is you very much follow your child's lead as well and
Yeah.
build it into your normal routine. And that sounds fantastic and really easy for families to do. And as you said, that you don't want them to see this as a stressor. And I
No.
suppose we are continuously communicating as well. So probably a
Yeah.
lot of the time parents are doing things that they're not even aware of, which are actually really helping their child to develop these skills. Is that something that you would commonly see when you're talking to mums and dads, about what they can do? They're maybe already
Yeah.
doing some of these things.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the nice thing about my job is I'm not the expert really. I might, have studied at university, but the parents are the experts when it comes to their child, and you're probably doing heaps more than you think that you're doing. And sometimes it's just you just need a bit of a reassurance sometimes. So that's where the Surestart might come in. Or if you do have a speech and language therapist, they'll just tell you that you're actually already doing a great job. And it's just about commenting on things, as you're in the supermarket, or um, pointing out colors, or um, when you're going down the slide, you're saying like up and down, or ready, steady, go. That's all speech language communication development. So it doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing. Although singing and dancing is also a great way to communicate with with your child as well, because you're your child's favorite rock star. But so yeah, nursery rhymes and things is also a great one. But yeah, I would encourage parents to be reassured that they're probably doing a lot more than they think they're doing to bring on their child's language development.
With regards to the actual sessions, what kind of structure would that take within Surestart? What do they look like for parents that are coming along if the dad's maybe a bit hesitant as to how that would
Yeah.
work?
Of course. So they vary really, Emma, and usually your Surestart will tell you in advance what it looks like, but you usually come in, you usually get offered a cup of tea, which is lovely, and then you sit down in a bit of a group, and the groups can last anything between 30 minutes to an hour. You might have ones that are maybe an hour and a half as well. It just depends really. And Surestarts are very adaptable and responsive. So if parents say, give your feedback and say, oh, I would love it if we could do this, or if they were a bit longer or a bit shorter, then the Surestarts are usually quite flexible and can meet that need as well. So don't be scared if there is, even if you and a couple of other dads would like a group, don't be scared to say to the Surestart, it'd be great if I could meet up with other dads, and they could probably try and make something happen for you if they can.
Well, that sounds fantastic. So really accommodating to the needs of the dads and the families. Well,
Yeah.
that's fun. So you've talked a bit about what happens within Surestart, and can that work alongside the NHS speech and language therapy? Can that really complement it, or how would that look for families?
Yeah, so Surestart is a what we call a universal and targeted service. So what that means is we'll meet you, meet your family, and if we think that you need NHS support, we'll signpost you onto that. And then whilst you're waiting for that support, we'll be able to help you with kind of groups and signposting to any other resources within your community that might be helpful. So even other groups outside of Surestart that we know of. When you do get seen within the NHS, usually your NHS speech and language therapist will get in touch with your Surestart to understand everything that you've already been doing up to this point,
Okay.
what concerns there is, and how they can complement each other as well.
Mhm.
So then you get that additional support that's needed for your child specifically.
Oh, well, that's great. There's that multidisciplinary teamwork, and then when it is a whole holistic approach to child looking at, like that's fantastic to hear that that's happening. So the dad that I was actually speaking to, he also was accessing private speech and language therapy alongside the NHS therapy. So that was something they thought was valuable. But I suppose if you're having that's input from Surestart, like all those complementing each other together would maybe be a really helpful thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if your child is accessing private speech therapy and they're accessing a Surestart, I would encourage you to say to the private speech therapist to get in touch with the Surestart speech therapist, just again to make sure we're all doing the same thing, because it's the speech language communication development for your child in early years, it's all very much the same thing. We want to all be doing the same thing, so it's very consistent for your child. And no one's going to suggest anything, weird and wonderful. So it's brilliant if we're all telling parents the same message and that the child is getting the same message, so we're all working on the same goals together. So absolutely, that would really, really welcome those conversations with Surestart.
To a really joint up approach to make sure that the
Yeah,
child is making as much progress as possible, and to really to
yeah,
help the parents as well understand where they're at and where they're going. Well, that sounds
yeah.
fantastic. And I'm just listening to what you're saying and thinking of maybe other support services, even some things like with the libraries NI, where they run the
Yes,
rhythm and rhyme sessions for
absolutely.
children not to four.
Yeah.
Something like that might be very helpful, and something that maybe mums and dads aren't aware of, that's a free service there for them to access as well.
Absolutely. And no, I wouldn't be aware of every local service, but I think even if you contacted a local Surestart, they would know the local services that are within, so they're very good at signposting on. And then there's websites, like Help Kids Talk is a really good website that knows about local kind of provision, and you've got your child care partnership
Mhm.
connections that would be able to signpost you onto other resources and things. And even BBC Tiny Happy People, they've got a website that's got quite good resources, things on it as well for parents. So yeah, it's all about kind of information sharing, and as I said, keeping that messaging consistent, and whatever works then for the families, whatever is easiest for them to access, then that's great.
And absolutely, and it's really good to hear from a professional as well about these different organisations that they can contact and different information available online. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming if you do a
Of
Google
course.
search, but
Yes.
actually have websites where these are good, helpful websites would be really useful for families. And you said as well that Surestart will signpost, and that is a service that you provide too then for families and specifically dads.
Yes, yes. So if there is with a Surestart within your local area, and you're signed up internally, they will do signposting to any other groups and things that might be of benefit. But similarly, if you don't fall within a Surestart area and you do call them up, they might still be able to signpost you to local services that they know about to give you extra support as well. So they are a great resource from that point of view, for information to signpost you on.
No, that's really helpful. And I suppose things like the Family Support NI website as well is really
Yes, of
useful.
course.
Yeah, for
Yes.
families. So if they are looking to access support services and just knowing where to go, that would be really useful. But knowing that Surestart, who probably have great knowledge of the local area, and that's
Yes.
really helpful for families. Is there anything else that you feel is particularly important to highlight for dads around speech and language therapy, Ciara?
Oh, I think I would always say don't don't overthink it. Simple is best when it comes to communicating with your child. I would say try and get involved from the very beginning. So I said, even before the birth, and start talking to your baby as soon as you can. I've always said it's a great time to practice your dad jokes. So, you've got a great audience. You will be your child's favorite storyteller, their favorite singer. So, don't be scared to get silly, because that's forming that bond, and their child is listening and to everything that you're saying and watching everything that you do, because they're just so fascinated with you. And then I would say to dads, don't be scared to go out and, seek other ways to spend time with your child, or to make connections with other dads, because if you're feeling like you would like that support, they're probably out there hoping they could find that support too. And it just takes one or two people to make that connection and grow that kind of group. And yeah, just don't be afraid to do anything. Don't be afraid to be silly. You're probably doing wonderful work already. So just kind of have fun with it, and do seek out support if you want reassurance, but know that you're probably doing amazing stuff for your child already.
That sounds great. And I do think there seems to be a movement towards more dads groups and things as well, which is fantastic to see. We've had mums and tots, a lot of mum support groups for a long time. And there does seem to be a real movement towards dads. And I think people are realizing the importance of a dad's involvement in the everyday things for their child's life. As you said, a lot of the time it's mum who's taking the child to the appointments. But I think now dads are realizing, that different impact that they can have and how valuable that is. But thank you so much. This was for Men's Health Week, and it's really just highlighting how important a dad is in a child's life. So thank you so much for taking the time, Ciara. This is a very specific issue, but it's one that has come up regularly, and it's really great to have a professional there to explain, the importance as well. So thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to talk to me, and hopefully we'll hear from you again.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Emma. It's been lovely to talk to you and to share all the information. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Ciara.